Do you love her?
Yes.
Are you willing to do whatever it takes to stay with her?
No.
We're recording the podcast! Shut up! Good morning to you, wherever you are, because it is
Morning Somewhere!
for March 11th, 2025. My name is Artie Burns, sitting right over there. I do love her. I would do anything to stay with her. It's Ashley Burns. Say hi to Ashley, everybody.
So that wasn't just like a message or something.
No, I always worry about that. Sometimes with the podcast and stuff, you know, I always worry like my friends are going to think. I've had it too, where people have said like, "Was that about me?" It's like, no, it's not. It's not about you.
It's because we were all trained on vague booking, or the early era of Facebook where you would post something that was like, "Oh, you really think you know somebody?"
Oh God.
And then all of your friends will message you and be like, "Oh my God, babe, what's going on?" And you go, "I don't want to talk.
I don't want to talk about it. Don't bug me about this, guys." Yeah, and it's like, even though I posted this on a publicly viewable global platform, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, or that'll be your next post is, guys, stop asking me about the thing that I won't talk about. Do people still do that, or is that like maybe taken on some new form? Because I feel like, well, I mean, for one, I haven't used Facebook in years.
Yeah.
But second of all, I feel like that's not the kind of post I see on social media anymore.
It's either we've learned as a society not to do that, or we've just aged out of the group of people. We don't have friends of the age that do that.
Right, maybe they're doing it on Snapchat now, and we're just like off in a corner, completely oblivious to what's happening.
We've all had friends like when you were in middle school, or whatever, or you went to house parties, right? When you were in school,
Yeah,
and like,
sure.
There would always be someone who ended up crying in the bathroom or something. Like,
I've been that girl. I've been the girl.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's always somebody who's crying at the party. It's like you don't have to stay at the party; you can just go home and be sad. Like, but it's people want their attention. What were you crying about at the party?
Oh, who knows?
Oh, really?
Who knows? You know, it's you have those like emotional times, especially too, like you get like the drunk girl, right? And you're like, you get really emotional and you're in your feelings and you don't want to leave because you're like, but we're in a party, I want to have a good time. Why am I not having a good time? You know, but it's like, it's so hard to shake, but you don't want to leave because you're at a party and you're supposed to be having fun.
It would be very strange to be like at a party now with people our age, and at every party somebody's crying. That would be weird.
That would
right?
be weird.
So it might be the same thing. It might just be you just kind of grow out of that stuff after a while.
Yeah, or just like, you take all those feelings and you just shove them really far down.
Yeah. Vague posting is still a thing, though. I think. Yeah. Social media will never grow up. It'll never grow up.
No, you know what I miss though is I miss like a lot of like just like things where there was like an era where everyone got into the thing. And this was like probably around the time we got really into vague booking. But do you remember when like flash mobs were a big deal?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Do you think that TikTok has kind of changed everyone's perception of flash mobs, though? Because now they have like everyone turns every public space into a dance performance area.
Yeah, maybe. Because, people will just like dance on their own with like a camera on a tripod in front of them. But they're like, I feel like there was this really specific slice of time where you would get like dozens of people who would all, I don't know, practice this dance or whatever. And then they would turn up in the park and do like some weird performance. And then they would all just scatter it, to the wind. And then that would be it. They just came and made your day a little bit weirder, but in a good way.
There was a group of people early on, and I don't know if they were like just a handful and they would organize these big events, but I was actually surprised that they didn't turn into a much bigger YouTube presence. They were a group called Improv Everywhere.
Yes, I remember them. Yeah, they did a lot of the big ones.
They had some really big viral hits. I want to say like 2010, 2011. Right? It was the era of Rebecca Black's Friday. And
for all we know, they did a flash mob to Friday.
Like they would do a funny thing where they all went to Best Buy and they all wore blue polos and khaki pants. And if you've never been to a Best Buy in America, that's exactly the uniform everyone wears. But then suddenly there's like 1,000 people in a Best Buy that are all wearing that.
So good luck finding an actual employee.
But they're all shopping and just doing normal stuff, and it feels very strange. And it was really funny. Like, they did a couple of different things like that went viral. And then I feel like I just kind of stopped hearing about them.
Yeah, like just flash mobs, maybe, I don't know, I guess they transformed into just everyone walks into a store and grabs a bunch of stuff and walks out together. And that's like the new flash mob.
Right.
Except more, more illegal because, hey, they can't stop us all.
Okay, there's two things about, what's the word I want to use here? About deviant behavior in modern society that I really don't understand. Hope I'm saying that correctly. Let me hit you with the first one.
Okay. I'm waiting with bated breath.
When people run into like a Walmart or a Target and they just grab off the rack a bunch of clothes and they run out with them, what are they like? What's the purpose of that? Is it just the moment and they're in it? I mean, what are you going to do with like 20 medium-sized Elmo T-shirts? Like, what are you doing with that?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess my assumption has always been that they then go and post them on, I guess there's like these sort of like online thrifting sites now where people will like sell their own used clothes or whatever. And so I assume that they would like list them on there. But keeping in mind, of course, that if you're buying a whole, like just like taking a whole bunch of shirts off a Walmart rack or whatever, they're like $8 shirts.
Is that what Vinted is? Is that what it is? Or
maybe I don't know. Gen Z weigh in. Where do you sell all your clothes? Online. Let me know so that I can buy all your clothes and pretend that I am Gen Z and cool. I'm in the market for Elmo shirts.
I need 30 medium Elmo shirts from Walmart. I won't ask any questions where they came from. So I don't understand that. And I don't understand, like, when I see these really dystopian news pieces, video footage of, like, there's always some new drug. Like, here's ice, or, oh, my God, styrofoam is taking over the streets in San Francisco, right? And they show these people using drugs that have them in a, like, standing up, sometimes, like, bent over at the waist. Have you ever seen this where they're literally bent over?
Right, they're just almost, like, collapsed.
But they're standing, right? And they're completely catatonic. What do you get out of that? Like, do they, like, I understand, like, you would use a drug once and it puts you in that state, but then people use it multiple times. Is the first, like, 20 seconds of it amazing and then they go into the state? Or is it amazing the entire time? I'm not trying to sound morally superior here. I'm a coward. I've never used drugs on those level of any kind of drug. I don't understand it.
I don't dare. Just because there's a video, I think it's an older video, but it's gone around the internet fairly recently. I'll see if I can find it and put it in the link dump because it's sort of a visualization of what addiction feels like. And it's
Is it the bird?
It's the bird. So there's a bird walking along and he sees this blue dot and he goes, oh, eats the blue dot. And then like everything is psychedelic and amazing and crazy. But every single time, the whole world gets a little bit darker.
Yeah.
And to get it, and then eventually just to even get it back to seeming normal, they're chasing these little blue dots, right? And then you're so far gone that you can't get back to normal no matter how much of that you take. So the best you're hoping for is like not so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I imagine that it's something similar to that where like at best you've got to a point where you feel numb.
Right. It's like I see these videos sometimes, they're posted on social media of someone like a paramedic crew showing up to save someone who's in the middle of an overdose, and they hit him with that Narcan drug that like immediately takes them out of their high of whatever it is. I assume it's some kind of opiate, like heroin or something like that. And there's a pretty good chance that person will attack them because they're upset that they used Narcan on them and took their high away. But they were basically dead. Like, were they aware that they were in the middle of a high at that point? Like, that's what I don't understand about this stuff.
I always wonder if that's to do with like in Pulp Fiction, when he like slams the needle into her and it's full of adrenaline and basically like resuscitates her with that, right? That it's just, you get hit so hard with maybe adrenaline or whatever is in this Narcan that it's just a shot to your system.
Yeah.
And your whole body responds almost on autopilot.
Right. But
your fight or flight just got fighted.
Yeah, but that, even so, it's like after you have the first experience, I don't know why you'd go back and seek that out again. You know what I mean? Is it the first 5 minutes or is it the entire time? It's just amazing, and that's what's having that catatonic state.
Maybe it's because the world got darker and you just want it to be not as dark as it was, and then what do you do? What do you do when it's dark the whole time unless unless you're high.
Maybe shutting it off is the point to begin with, right?
Yeah. So it's you know, it's tough, and it's not something that I would even begin to know how to come back from.
While we're talking about like suspending reality, I mean, I have, for a lot of different reasons, which should be obvious, I've been thinking about what is the future of entertainment, both in the short term and in the long term. And I showed you something yesterday that like, it was insane. It was an intersection of so many different things at the same time. I showed you that clip. Do you remember yesterday? There was a video I showed you. I didn't make you watch the whole thing because that would be almost torture.
It was like 30 minutes.
It was a 30-minute YouTube video. The voice that we played the other day from Sesame.com
is the Miles AI.
Yeah, the AI voice model that we had on here. I'm not going to play the clip because I like to limit the amount of times I put AI stuff on the air on the podcast. But it was somebody had a session talking to Miles where they were talking to him and they said they were smoking pot. And Miles asked really direct questions about it and everything and knew about like the strain of pot which it's legal in some places. So it didn't seem like it skirted any moral gray areas or anything like that. And then the person that he was talking to started pretending like the cops were breaking in and was playing the cops. And then Miles got implicated and they were blaming Miles. And then the cops framed him.
And then Miles had a lawyer. And then the cops were like planting evidence, being like, we're just going to write Miles the AI on this cocaine.
Right. And Miles the AI is playing along and everything. And he's like, he goes, no, that's not mine. He goes, I don't even know where Columbia is. And the cop character goes, the guy goes, you don't know where Columbia is? And Miles goes, all right, you got me. I know where Columbia is. Like it was engaging, quotable improv for 30 minutes straight.
It was very weird. It was very, very weird.
It was unto itself encapsulated. It was kind of earth-shattering to me, at least a little bit, because not seeing what it is today, but how close it is to what it's going to be very soon. And then the twist at the end of the whole thing is the guy who made the video and was doing the improv of the cops coming in and playing the lawyer and playing the dirty cops trying to frame Miles. Do you know who it was?
Who was that?
Martin Scarelli.
Wait, the pharma guy?
The guy who ate the HIV medication and went to jail because he jacked up the price and then bought it
was like the Wu-Tang Clan. He bought it was like a Wu-Tang NFT or something.
That guy. That's the guy. It was on his channel. That's the guy who made the video. And it's like, what the fuck is happening? Like, you have this crazy AI thing going on. And then here comes at the end of it reality with like the 1-2 punch of like, nope, this is still fucking weirder reality. How bizarre is that?
That's so weird.
So bizarre.
So like that guy put that out. Is he a performance artist now?
I have no performance artist. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. But it was crazy that it came from his channel. Who even knew that guy had a goddamn YouTube channel?
I didn't even know that guy was out of jail.
Yeah, it's so strange. Yeah.
No, but speaking of performance art, I guess this is maybe a week or so old now, but there was this art installation in Denmark. And it was this guy, he put 3 little piglets in a cage. The idea was for them to starve to death in that cage. That's the art.
Jesus.
Right? No, but this has a happy ending. The piglets were stolen.
Oh, I thought you said the performance artists went to jail. I feel like 90% of performance artists, when they say I'm a performance artist, you go, okay, I'm calling the cops right now.
Right. Well, there's it's a prank, bro, and hey, I'm just a performance artist, bro.
That'd be great. I'm just a performance artist. Guy who attacks you in a Home Depot like aisle somewhere and then goes, hey man, it's just performance art.
Yeah, but the happy ending is these piglets they were stolen and rescued. Which for all we know is part of the point of the art exhibit, right? I think this is the same guy who had an installation previously where it was just a line of blenders with fish in it. And the fish weren't blended up or anything, but they were in blenders and you could turn on the blender.
Oh my God.
And so some people did. Like, it's one of those, like, what will humans choose to do kind of things. So in this case, happy ending, someone chose to stole the piglets, and now that's the installation, right?
You know somebody turned on one of those blenders.
Oh, they did.
Thinking that there was no way that it was an actual blender that would work, and they accidentally blended some goldfish.
Then they had to go talk to their AI therapist.
They were all in on performance art. They had to get their next high and find the thing that can make life seem normal again after their goldfish blender experience.
No, but that seems like a common thread with a lot of performance art. There was one, this was years ago now. There was a lady who, as a performance art thing, like she stood there and there was a table with stuff on it that people could use on her. And she
What?
Wouldn't, and she
What do you
wouldn't
mean use
do
on
anything
her?
about it. Like it was all kinds of stuff. Apparently there were like razor blades, or like markers or bits of string or whatever. It's like a bunch of random stuff.
Bits of string.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking this up now.
It's a weird spectrum there. Bits of string or razor blades.
Well, I think they shut the whole thing down once someone put a gun to her head. So like
what?
Yeah. So the way it started was very tame. Like people would like change her pose, like they would like raise her arms or whatever. And then eventually someone like cut all her clothes off. Someone started like cutting her skin, and then eventually someone like put a gun in her hand and put it to her head.
Are you sure that this is not an urban legend that you're just perpetuating here?
No,
this sounds like it's an urban legend territory.
I know it sounds like that, but it's one of those like escalating, like what will people do if there's no resistance?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the performance art aspect of it, is like a human nature question. But I'm looking this up, and this is, so here's an article from elitereaders.com. A performance artist stood still for 6 hours to let people do what they wanted to her body.
That's insane to me. Listen, I'm making fun of performance art, but there's been a couple, like, what's a good performance art performance? Is that the way to say that you've seen before? There was one I saw where a lady like sat in a chair and people could sit across from her. And the only thing that made that really compelling was they didn't say anything, right? And anyone could come and just connect with another human by just staring at them. But then like her lover of 10 years from several decades ago came in all of a sudden, sat down across from her, and they had this like really incredible unspoken reconnection of humanity. That was really cool to see.
Burnie, you're not going to believe this. Same lady.
No way. Same lady as what?
This is the same lady as the
razor blade lady?
Yeah, the razor blade lady.
Jesus
So no,
Christ.
here's right at the top of this article. Many of us know Yugoslavian performance artist Marina Abramovic through the video of her painfully silent reunion with her former lover, Frank Ule Laciepen. So that was her.
That's insane. If her boyfriend turned out to be Sam Bankman-Fried or something, that would have been incredible.
No, but then it's weird. You read more of this article, and it turns out later on he bought a Wu-Tang album and went to jail.
Then he starved her and put her in a blender. Jesus Christ. Well, I'm glad the pigs got out of the performance art industry.
Me too. They're somewhere like on an actual farm somewhere, not like a metaphorical farm, an actual farm having a great
farm.
time.
Yeah. Back to it. All right. Well, you reading Wikipedia entries over there reminded me that yesterday we were talking about Royal Shrovetide, which then started a whole discussion about pushball.
By the way, in a follow-up to, we have literally everyone in our audience, a former Shrovetide player has posted on our subreddit with a lot more details about the game and how it works. So if you found that at all interesting yesterday, please check that out. How is that possible?
How is that possible that someone who listens to this podcast has played that specific sport? And he went into great, I'm assuming he went into great detail about how it's played. And it has to be scored from the river and where the goals are. They weren't in a pub, like I said. I think I saw some other town where they play it, where they have to get it inside of a pub. That was insane. If you don't know what we're talking about, seemingly every time we talk about even the most obscure topic on this podcast, someone on our subreddit has personal experience with that.
And like knows the thing.
We talked about a guy who sold a Cheeto that looks like Charizard for $87,000. A guy said on our subreddit, "That's my friend. I've held that Cheeto in my hand before."
It's such a big, small world.
I hate to say this, like you would think now it's a thing where people are just like, "Oh, I'm going to say like I work on that," or I'm involved with that in some way. But it's always the dumbest shit. Hopefully we'll have somebody who can talk to us about like, "Oh, I'm part of the styrofoam epidemic that's taking over San Francisco right now."
Well, actually, I suspect today it'll be, "Hey, I'm a performance artist, bro." But I would like to thank today's performance artists, Morgan McDaniel and Robert James Gabriel. Thank you both for sponsoring this episode of our show at patreon.com/morningsomewhere.
All right. Well, tomorrow I'll talk more about some of the games that I read about for Wikipedia, games I played as a kid that jogged some memories for me when I was talking about pushball yesterday.
After we had that conversation, I went down some like weird memory holes myself.
I mean, like regional games that kids would play with tennis balls that somehow everyone played, but there's like different variations and names depending on where you live. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. All right. Well, that does it for us today, March 11th, 2025. We will be back to talk to you tomorrow. We hope you will be here as well.
Bye, everybody.